Hi, thanks for joining me again today. Today we're going to look at James chapter 4 and verse 4. And let me read it here. Now, previously speaking about the natural wisdom, the wisdom of this world in comparison to the wisdom of God. And both of them have such different fruit in the lives of people. We see that the wisdom of the world, this earth, is sensual, it's demonic, it's self-gratifying. But the wisdom of God is always willing to yield. It's peaceable. It's good. And so in verse 4, it's saying here. Now it starts off with two words that I believe to some can seem offensive. But I believe the Holy Spirit is really wanting to get deeper into the very core of the problem, why there are wars and fights among so many people. And it says here, adulterers and adulteresses. It's like, wow. Man, Lord, you know, I haven't slept with another woman or a man, whether you're a woman or a man. I haven't done any of those things, but yet it's saying here adulterer and adulteresses. It's speaking about spiritual adultery. It's speaking of people who have walked out or ignoring the covenant with God and are pursuing after earthly things. And this is where wars and fights come from. When a person abandons their walk with God and they're walking in the Spirit, this very attribute that we have to walk righteously. When we abandon that and begin to walk in the flesh, that's where wars and strife come from. So he says, adulterers and adulteresses, do you not know that the friendship with the world is enmity with God? Whoever therefore wants to be a friend with the world makes himself an enemy of God. They're very strong words, but words that I believe we really need to pay attention to. And what it's saying here is making friendship with the world. And, it's speaking about this wisdom again, the wisdom of the world, that one begins to yield to this wisdom where there is selfishness and there's strife and fighting for self-gain and a fighting to be right, fighting to be heard. This is where things come from. We can fight to defend ourselves, or we can yield and let God defend us. And I know which one that I prefer. And so, do you not know that friendship with the world, and so this alliance taken place, that we've actually, to make a friendship with the world, we have to forsake God in some way to be able to embrace the other. We can't have both at the same time. And so one then begins to distance themselves from godly wisdom and starts to align themselves with the wisdom of the world. And what you'll find, what happens there is, especially in the setting of a Christian setting, when you have a person that maintains godliness and the wisdom that is from above, and someone that has once known it and has walked away from it and begins to employ the wisdom of the world, the two just fight. The two do not get along. The spirit and the flesh, they do not get along, and they're contrary to one another. And so here we see one of the greatest examples, I believe at least, that we see where wars and fights come from among us, is that especially in a household where there may be a Christian and a non-Christian in a marriage, you see the conflict of wisdom, the conflict of spirit between the two. And so as the Christian, we need to maintain our course. But here we see some of the things that cause wars and fights among us. And it's saying here that whoever wants to be a friend of the world makes himself an enemy to God. Now that's pretty serious. So, here we are. We're looking at where wars and fights come from. This is it. This is really where it begins. So anyway, join me tomorrow, and we're going to continue from verse 5, and it's going to get even more interesting. Until then, I'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.